I was under a highway overpass hawking knockoff sneakers, the buy one, get three free kind. Suddenly, a Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up to my folding table. A guy in a tailored suit stepped out, looked at me, and started sobbing, calling me young master. Next thing I knew, I was being whisked away to a 50,000 square foot estate in the suburbs. I thought I'd finally won the lottery, but it turned out I was just a sacrificial lamb. A few minutes ago, while I was taking a leak in a bathroom larger than my entire old apartment, I overheard my new parents whispering through the door. "The gutter rat looks exactly like Julian," my cheap-ass dad hissed. "Perfect. We'll make him sign the papers. Let him take the fall for Julian's $10 billion gambling debt, and he can rot in federal prison for him." "You're a genius, darling," my mom cooed. "Once those transfer contracts are signed, Julian is in the clear." I zipped up my fly, looked at my handsome reflection in the gold-rimmed mirror, and grinned. "You want me to take the fall? Fine. But I'm going to show you exactly how hard it is to get rid of a ghost once you've invited him into your house." If they wanted a show, I'd give them a psychological thriller with a side of absolute madness. $10 billion? I wasn't paying a cent. It was time to get chaotic. Flush. The toilet sounded like a demolition site in the quiet mansion. Outside, my parents jumped, their conversation cutting off instantly. I sauntered out, adjusting my belt and yawning. "Hey, Dad." "Hey, Mom. Nice bathroom. Acoustics suck, though." I could hear everything. Arthur and Eleanor Sterling turned white as sheets. Eleanor forced a smile that looked like it had been stapled onto her face. "Jax, honey, you heard that." I dug in my ear with a pinky, looking oblivious. "Heard what? That I look like that other guy?" "Well, no duh. We're twins, right? Why wouldn't we look alike?" They exchanged a look of pure relief. Arthur immediately reclaimed his lord of the manor dignity. "Don't be ridiculous. Twins? No. You're the older brother. He's the younger. Now come. It's time for dinner." He turned and marched away, his back practically screaming, "Guilty." Eleanor hurried after him, but paused to give me a fake maternal beam. "Jax, darling, come on. I had the chef prepare your favorite." She trailed off, realizing she had no idea what I liked. A double bacon chili cheeseburger from a grease trap under the L train, with extra onions, I suggested helpfully. Eleanor's face turned a delicate shade of lime green. The dining table was long enough to be a bowling alley, covered in a silk cloth that probably cost more than my entire inventory of shoes. A girl dressed like a Coachella princess sat there, looking at me with pure disgust. That was Tiffany, the adopted daughter. Eleanor faked a smile and placed a piece of glistening lobster thermidor on my plate. "Jax, eat up. You're so thin." I didn't hold back. I pushed my pristine porcelain bowl forward, my fork skills aggressive. "Mom, this lobster looks fake." I held a piece up to the chandelier, squinting. "Looks like the gray bee stuff I used to see at the wharf. All chemicals and food coloring. Tastes okay, though. Give me two more." The atmosphere at the table froze. Tiffany let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "God, where did you buy those clothes?" "A clearance bin at a gas station." "Our napkins have a higher thread count than your shirt." I looked down at my t-shirt with a giant bootleg logo. "Hey, sis, you've got an eye for fashion." "I like that." I kicked my foot up onto the table, showing off a brand new Air Jordan. "But clothes are old news. It's all about the kicks. Tell you what, you look like you're having a bad luck streak. You need some good juju. I'll give you the brotherly discount on these classics. $200 and they're yours. Don't thank me all at once." Tiffany's face turned the color of raw liver. "You're an idiot." Arthur slammed his hand on the table. "Jax, watch your mouth." I immediately pouted, looking wounded. "Dad, I'm just trying to look out for the family. Love is great, but cash is king. How about you Venmo me $500, just so I know we're cool?" I pulled out my phone and pulled up my QR code. Arthur's chest began to heave with rage, his fingers shaking as he pointed at me. Just then, a figure drifted down the grand staircase. He wore a crisp white shirt, his face pale and his eyes shadowed. He radiated a wealthy but mentally breaking vibe. This had to be the fall guy, the real son, Julian. My eyes lit up. I dropped my fork and lunged toward him, throwing a heavy arm around his shoulders. "Hey, this must be the little brother I'm supposed to. Take care of. You're a handsome devil, though you look a bit like a guy who owes people a lot of money." Julian stiffened, trying to shove me off, but my arm was like a vice. The whole family looked like they'd seen a ghost. I dragged him to the table, sat him down, and then proceeded to kick off one of my shoes to rub my foot. Man, the floor heating in this place is intense. My feet are sweating like crazy. Rich people get athlete's foot too, right? An ungodly smell began to waft through the dining room. Eleanor's eyes rolled back, and she nearly fainted. Arthur, vibrating with suppressed fury, pulled a leather folder from his side and slid it toward me. Jax here. Consider this a welcome gift. Sign this, and you're officially a legal heir to the Sterling estate. I picked up the pen, didn't even look at the text, and drew a very detailed, very realistic picture of a middle finger in the signature box. Then I looked up, eyes wide and innocent. Dad, I can't read big words. But look at this drawing. It's a cactus. For luck. You. Arthur finally snapped. He was about to explode when Tiffany suddenly stood up, pretending to walk past me. She tried to accidentally trip me, but it was like I had eyes in the back of my head. I hooked her ankle with my foot. Thud. Tiffany went down face first into the dessert, a massive 3-tier cream cake. Silence. I jumped up, screaming in mock agony. Oh my God. Tiffany, you wanted the cake so bad, you didn't even use your hands. That's so much sibling love, I'm gonna cry. I'm literally sobbing right now. Arthur looked at my grinning face, and I saw pure murder in his eyes. I knew then that the party was just getting started. The next morning, I woke up starving. The butler hadn't brought me breakfast. Clearly, he'd been told to give me the cold shoulder treatment. I didn't mind. I shuffled down to the kitchen in my slippers. The chef was meticulously preparing a bowl of high-end beluga caviar. I leaned over and sniffed it. Smells like salty fish bait. The chef looked horrified. Sir, this is the finest caviar in the city. I patted his shoulder. Don't be stingy. Give me a bowl, and throw in some hot sauce and some crushed up Cheetos. 5 minutes later, I was squatting on the pristine manicured lawn with a bowl of gourmet caviar ramen, slurping loudly. Jax Miller, what are you doing? Tiffany's screech pierced the air. Beside her stood a woman in a sharp, high-fashion power suit. She was stunning with a cold, piercing gaze that made me feel like a rare specimen in a lab. I ignored Tiffany and focused on the beauty. This had to be the unlucky fiancée, Serena Thorne. She was a total knockout. Tiffany followed my gaze, saw what was at my feet, and let out a blood-curdling scream. That's my mother's limited edition Hermes Birkin. You're using it to grow green onions? I picked my nose and looked at the gray and white bag with disdain. It's an ugly bag. Perfect for scallions. Look how well they're growing. I pulled one out and crunched on it loudly. Tiffany stomped her foot, turning to Serena. Serena, look at him. He's a lunatic from the gutter. Serena didn't say a word, but the corner of her mouth quirked into a ghost of a smile. I gave her a toothy 8-kilowatt grin. Hey, beautiful. You look like a reasonable person. Want to buy some onions? Buy the onions, get the bag for free. Serena tilted her head, but didn't answer. Tiffany, thinking Serena was on her side, started plotting. That afternoon, Tiffany burst into my room with Eleanor and a squad of maids. Mom, it was him. I saw him hide your heart of the ocean diamond necklace. Eleanor clutched her chest, looking devastated. Jax, we took you in, and you steal from us. Butler searched the room. They swarmed in like vultures. But the panic scene they expected didn't happen. I was sitting cross-legged on the bed, my phone propped up on a tripod live on TikTok. The title of the stream, Exposing Billionaire Fakes, Live Leak. I was holding the blue diamond necklace up to the camera, giving a high-energy sales pitch. Listen up, chat. Look at this. They call this the heart of the ocean. Look at the refraction. Look at the cut. This thing is dimmer than the knockoff sneakers I sell. This is a $10 prop from a gift shop, guys. Total scam. Order now. Same style diamond necklace. Don't pay $10. Pay $3.50. Buy one, get 10 free. The comment section was losing its mind. LMAO, this guy is wild. No way. Rich people use Temu. Is he gonna die? That house looks real. Eleanor lunged forward, snatching the necklace, her hand shaking. How dare you? This is a real diamond. I bought this at a Christie's auction for $12 million. I immediately looked at the camera, putting on a terrified face, my voice cracking. Chat, did you hear that? They're trying to gaslight me. They're using glass to lie to me. And now they're going to call the cops because I caught him. I'm so scared. Someone sent a Galaxy gift, and I'll do a formal apology crawl. The internet flipped instantly. Bro, $12 million for that. She got scammed. The rich are so sensitive, LOL. Don't worry, King. We got the receipts. Tiffany and Eleanor's faces turned from white to green to purple. It was a masterpiece. I shut off the stream, walked over to Tiffany, and patted her cheek. Sis, next time you frame me, use something valuable. I wouldn't even bother stealing this trash. Tiffany's lips trembled, but she couldn't get a word out. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. A new friend request. The profile picture was Serena Thorne's cold, beautiful face. The message attached was just 2 words. Interesting. I accepted and replied with 3. Cash only. Hurry. I became the biggest joke and the hottest influencer in Chicago overnight. The hashtag fake shoe prints went viral. I was cornered in the hallway by Serena Thorne. She leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching me with amusement. "You're an interesting man, Jax." My stomach growled. I've been so busy acting I hadn't eaten. "Hey, Sugata Mama. I am hungry. Feed me." Serena blinked, then pulled out her phone. My phone chimed. A $20,000 Zelle transfer. "A deposit," she said. "Partnership." My eyes turned into dollar signs. "Partner? Honey, for 20 grand I'll be your personal bodyguard, your chef, or your trophy husband. You want the tough guy or the pretty boy?" The next day, I went live again to clarify the rumors about me and Serena. Tiffany tried to spam the chat with insults, but I blocked and reported her in 5 seconds. Eleanor, thinking I'd landed a big fish like Serena, suddenly became the world's most loving mother, sending the chef to make me herbal tonics while hinting that the Thorns should help pay the family's debts. I drank the tonics and ignored the hints. Arthur was smarter. He knew Serena wasn't an easy mark. He gave me an ultimatum. 100 million in interest by next week, or I call the police and charge you with grand larceny and fraud. He thought that would break me. The next morning, Serena rolled into the Sterling estate with a team of lawyers that looked like they belonged in a Marvel movie. Arthur came out grinning, thinking she was there to talk marriage. Instead, Serena's lead counsel slammed a file onto his mahogany desk. "Mr. Sterling, we have reason to believe you've been illegally transferring marital assets and using shell companies for tax evasion. These are the preliminary findings. If you don't want to discuss this in front of a federal judge, I suggest you talk to my client, Mr. Jax Miller." Arthur's face turned gray. He stared at me like he wanted to burn a hole through my skull. I sat on his leather sofa, eating sunflower seeds and spitting the shells into a trash can 10 feet away with Olympic precision. "Dad, your accounting is trash. I've seen better books at a lemonade stand. Too many holes." Just then, Julian walked in. He was wearing a bootleg t-shirt exactly like mine and eating a bag of flamin' hot Cheetos. He saw Serena and beamed. "Jax, these Cheetos are fire. Serena, you want one?" He held out a bright red, dusty Cheeto. Serena actually took it, ate it, and nodded. "Not bad." The room went silent. My little brother had officially been corrupted. Arthur lost it. He locked Julian in his room to reflect. I slipped upstairs at midnight with a piece of wire I'd learned to use back on the streets. Click. The door opened. Julian was staring out the window. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. "Jax." I locked the door and set a laptop in front of him. "Come on. I'm going to show you how to vent some steam." I opened League of Legends. "In here, you can say whatever you want. No consequences. Release the beast, Julian." At first, he was shy. When he got killed, he just sighed. I lost my patience, grabbed his headset, and started screaming into the mic. "What are you doing, jungler? Are you farming mushrooms? Get over here. You're trash. Absolute trash." Julian caught the vibe. He started shouting back. "You camper. Learn to play." By the end, he was standing on his chair, yelling at the screen. "Eat it, you old fossil." He was shouting all the insults he wished he could say to his dad. He looked refreshed. At breakfast the next morning, the tension was thick. Arthur started his usual lecture. "Julian, you've disappointed me. Look at yourself." Julian looked up dead-eyed. "Old man, shut up." The room froze. Eleanor dropped her fork. I started clapping. Yes, that's the spirit. The boy's finally a man. Arthur lunged for a newspaper to swat him. I grabbed a cast iron skillet from the kitchen and handed it to Arthur. "Here, Dad. Better grip. More satisfying sound. Good value for the money." Arthur nearly had a stroke. Julian ducked behind me, realizing for the first time that having someone have your back felt damn good. We decided to start a business together, high-end luxury salvage. We snuck out a few Ming Dynasty vases from the study and set up a stand back at my old spot under the bridge. Step right up. Authentic Ming vases, used as chamber pots by emperors. $8 million value. Yours for $80. Clearance sale. We didn't sell a vase, but we did attract the cops. I grabbed Julian and bolted. Julian was a natural. He was actually faster than me, yelling, "Cops! Scatter!" We had no bus fare, so we walked back looking like total wrecks. But the Sterling gates were surrounded by reporters. Our street vending photos were already trending. Hashtag billionaire bums, hashtag street hustle. The next day, the Sterling Group stock actually hit its daily limit, going up because the public thought the heirs were approachable and down to earth. Arthur looked at the financial reports with an expression of pure, confused agony. Tiffany was losing her mind. I'd stolen her spotlight, and now even Julian was a viral star. She decided to go for the throat. One night, taking a shortcut home, I was cornered in an alley by 5 thugs. The leader was a massive guy with arm tattoos and a permanent scowl. Kid, someone paid us to teach you a lesson. I looked closer and grinned. Wait, Big Mike? From the hot dog stand on 4th? You quit the grilled meat business to become a goon. Big Mike blinked, leaning in. Holy crap, Jax. I heard you went uptown. He was my old rival for street space. We fought a dozen times over the best spots, but we were basically drinking buddies. I sighed, looking weary. Man, don't even ask. It's a nightmare. I owe 10 billion. Tell you what, Mike, I'll split the debt with you. We can be partners in bankruptcy. Mike turned pale. He grabbed his guys and sprinted away. Forget this. I'm out. Tiffany was left standing at the end of the alley in her designer dress, looking stunned. I walked toward her. She backed up until she tripped. Stay away. What are you doing? I didn't hit her. I just handed my phone to Julian, who appeared from the shadows. Bro, go live. Julian hit the button. I knelt down, looking concerned. Sis, you don't know the rules of the street. If you hire a hitman, check his references. Big Mike still owes me for 2 hot dogs from last summer. You're throwing money away, girl. 50,000 people tuned in instantly. Drama. Late night, alleyway showdown. Did she just try to put a hit on her brother? Jax is a legend. Pure psychological warfare. Tiffany looked at the screen, saw herself, and snapped. She started screaming like a banshee. Jax Miller, you gutter rat. You and your freak brother need to rot. You don't belong here. Her Upper East Side persona shattered into a million pieces on camera. Just then, Eleanor arrived with the butler. She saw Tiffany's meltdown and the comments scrolling by, and she promptly fainted. I lunged forward, grabbed her by the shoulders, and screamed in her ear. Mom, don't go into the light. Get up. Let's go clubbing. Wake up. Tiffany stared at the chaos, broken. I had a feeling the Sterlings were about to go off the deep end. Serena moved fast. She handed me a folder. The $10 billion debt was a sham. The overseas company that owned the debt was actually controlled by Arthur Sterling himself. He was using Julian's name to launder money, intending to use me as the fall guy to repay the debt, effectively cleaning the cash and getting rid of an inconvenient son in one go. I took the report and kicked open Julian's door. Hey, little brother, your dad is using you as a human USB drive for money laundering. You still want to be a good son? Julian looked at the flowcharts and the shell companies, and his face went cold. He laughed, a jagged, hollow sound. I get it now. He went full dark mode, but the hilarious kind. He took every limited edition figurine, every designer suit, and every pair of collectible sneakers he owned and put them on eBay. The title, Betrayal Sale, selling everything my trash dad bought me. All proceeds go to the National Anti-Fraud Center. Arthur realized things were slipping. He called in 20 private security guards and cornered me in the living room. Jax, 2 choices. 1, you leave the country tonight, and I give you a monthly allowance. 2, I break your legs and put you in a psych ward. The gloves were off. The guards moved in. I calmly pulled a canister of high-grade pepper spray from my pocket. Nobody move. This is a concentrated blend of habanero and mustard gas. You get this in your eyes, and God himself won't be able to help you see for a week. Who wants to be first? The guards hesitated. Suddenly, Julian charged down the stairs, arms spread like a mother hen protecting a chick. Don't touch my brother. Jax, run. I'll hold him off. He looked like he was about to sacrifice himself in a war movie. I patted him on the head. Relax, hero. We live in a society. Call the cops, you idiot. The front doors burst open. Serena had already called the police. Officer Miller, a guy who knew me from my street days, walked in. Arthur tried to play it off as a family dispute. I immediately went into full theater mode, grabbing the officer's leg and wailing. Officer, save me. He's trying to sell me into human trafficking. He wants to send me to a coal mine in the middle of nowhere. I won't have 5G. How will I stream? The officer looked at the chaos, looked at the evidence Serena provided, and rubbed his temples. Enough. Everyone to the station. Now. The interrogation room became my stand-up comedy special. Name, Jax Miller. Wild by name, wild by nature. Gender, male. Interested in women. Or handsome guys if the money is right. Julian, sitting next to me, turned red. The officer sighed. Focus. You're accusing Arthur Sterling of financial crimes. Evidence. Arthur was screaming in the next room. He's a liar. He's my son. He's a backstabber. I yelled at the wall. Officer, I also want to report him for being a weirdo. He wears red underwear for luck every day. It's an eyesore. Arthur's roar of shut up echoed through the hall. I stopped joking and slammed the financial reports on the table. This is the money laundering trail. I don't understand the math, but there are a lot of red arrows, and red usually means prison in my book. The lawyer came in, whispering that Arthur would give me $5 million to drop the charges. I turned on my phone speaker, volume at max. You hear that, chat? 5 million to buy my soul? Is my integrity that cheap? You gotta double that. At least 50 million. The lawyer looked like he'd swallowed a fly. Julian added, I recorded that too, Dad. I could do a pretty good impression of you, if the jury wants to hear it. The police took Arthur into custody. When we walked out, Eleanor lunged at me like a feral cat. You monster. That's your father. How could you do this? Mom, stop crying. That waterproof mascara is failing. You look like a raccoon from a horror movie. Go pack him a lunch for jail. I hear the food is terrible. Eleanor fainted again. The butler was getting really good at catching her. Julian stood beside me, taking a deep breath. Man, burning it all down feels amazing. With Arthur in jail, the Sterling group fell into chaos. The board members and distant relatives circled like sharks. I walked into the boardroom, sat in the CEO's leather chair, and started scrolling through TikTok with the volume on high. An executive in gold-rimmed glasses approached me nervously. Mr. Miller, regarding the multi-billion-dollar real estate project in the South Side. Pause that, I said. The stone lions in front of the building are bad luck. Tomorrow, I want them replaced with 2 hot dog stands. One for chili dogs, one for polished sausages. Let's get some foot traffic. The executives looked at me like I was a monkey who'd just stolen the crown jewels. Within hours, half the management resigned. I signed their resignations with a flourish. Then I called Big Mike. Hey, Mike, stop the goon stuff. I'm making you head of security. Bring the crew. 10 grand a month, health insurance, and all the hot dogs you can eat. The next day, the Sterling security team consisted of 5 massive guys in black tank tops, eating street food and looking terrifying. I turned the estate's golf course into a community garden. I had trucks of soil brought in to grow cabbage and chickens. When Eleanor was released on bail and saw her pristine lawn turn into a farm, she tried to tackle me. I directed her to a local senior Zumba class. Mom, you've got too much energy. Go dance to Uptown Funk for 3 hours. It'll clear your head. As for Tiffany, I enrolled her in a reality show-style boot camp on our farm. Her job, shoveling manure for the cabbage. Soul-cleansing labor, I called it. When Serena came to visit, she saw chickens chasing executives and Eleanor doing high kicks with a group of seniors. She laughed until she cried. Julian was driving a rusted-out tractor around the estate, looking like he'd finally found his purpose. Then, the real creditors showed up. I didn't hide. I invited them in for a massive barbecue. After a few beers, I slammed my hand on the table. Look, guys, the well is dry. No cash. But we've got plenty of organic chicken. Eat up. Or, tell you what, pick a piece of land and start digging. Maybe you'll find some oil. The place is worthless anyway. The creditors, faced with a man more shameless than they were, gave up. They agreed to a payment plan. They didn't know Serena had already bought up their debts. Now, I only owed money to her, which meant I could definitely afford to be a deadbeat. Arthur Sterling got out on bail. He'd spent a fortune, but he was temporarily free, and he wanted blood. He was convinced I had destroyed his legacy, his name, and his life. He teamed up with Tiffany for one last desperate play. I got a FaceTime call. Serena was tied to a chair in a dingy, abandoned warehouse. Arthur's face appeared, twisted and manic. Jax Miller, come to the old steel mill on the south side alone, or I'll end your little sugar mama. The call cut. Julian panicked. Jax, we have to call the SWAT team. They've lost it. I was calm. I called Big Mike. Mike, it's time. Bring everyone. And I mean everyone. I didn't go alone. 30 minutes later, the steel mill was surrounded. It wasn't just my security. It was Big Mike and his crew, a fleet of Uber and Lyft drivers I befriended, the Zumba moms in their neon leggings, and 50 delivery guys on e-bikes. Arthur looked out the window and saw the army of working-class Chicago. Is this a mob? I grabbed a megaphone. Hey, old man, look closely. This isn't a mob. This is the power of the people. I gave a signal. The Zumba moms turned up 30 massive Bluetooth speakers, blasting Cotton Eye Joe and YMCA at max volume. The sonic wall was enough to rattle the teeth out of Arthur's head. The delivery guys flew their drones in through the windows, live streaming the interior to my phone. Big Mike and his guys, armed with heavy-duty frying pans, charged the front. I slipped in through a ventilation shaft. Tiffany tried to hit me with a lead pipe. I didn't even look back. I just gave her a solid back kick that sent her flying into a pile of scrap metal. I untied Serena. She looked a little messy, but she had a sparkle in her eye. This is more exciting than my company's Christmas party. I walked up to the trembling Arthur. Dad, you had a chance to go quietly. Now, you're going to prison for kidnapping. The doors burst open. The cops arrived. The Zumba moms had called them to report noise complaints and illegal assembly. as a distraction. Arthur and Tiffany were hauled off in cuffs. Kidnapping, fraud, and money laundering. They weren't coming back for a long, long time. The dust settled. Arthur and Eleanor were sentenced to 15 years. Tiffany was sent to a juvenile facility to finish her soul cleansing. The Sterling Group was liquidated. Julian and I moved out of the mansion. We went back to my old neighborhood, into a luxury penthouse Serena bought for us. Serena tried to make Julian an executive at her firm, but he turned her down. He took $500 I invested in him and started a gourmet street taco stand. Because of the hashtag RichBoyTacos hashtag, he became the top-rated food truck in Chicago. People lined up for 3 blocks to get a taco from a former billionaire. One evening, Serena pinned me against the wall and handed me a document. Sign it. It was a marriage license. I sighed. Can we skip the expensive ring? I'm kind of cheapskate. Serena smirked. I'll buy the rings. Our wedding was the top trending topic for 3 days. No Ferraris. The wedding procession was a fleet of 30 rusted-out pickup trucks led by Big Mike, decorated with plastic flowers and red balloons. It was the peak of trash chic. At the reception, I gave the groom's speech. First, I'd like to thank my parents for being such terrible people. They taught me that being high class is a scam. Stay grounded, stay gritty. Second, I want to thank my wife for proving that being a trophy husband is the best career path in America. The crowd roared. In the corner, Julian was sobbing like a baby. Jax, you'll always be my brother. Wah! Between sobs, he was still handing out taco plates to the guests. Late that night, I got a text from an unknown number. Yo, you still got the hookup for those fake Jordans? Need a pair. I smiled and typed back. Tell M. Jax sent you. 50% off. Happy hustling. I put my phone down and looked at the Chicago skyline. Life was a mess, but it was a beautiful, chaotic, hilarious mess. Story complete.